I'd like to call this meeting of the Parks and Recreation Committee for June 22nd, 2015 to order. If everybody would stand and face the flag, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Paschal?
Here.
Mr. Sims?
Here.
Mr. Tenorowitz?
Here.
Mrs. White?
Here.
Mrs. Nelson?
Here.
Mrs. Webster and Mrs. Flesher are not here.
All right, that brings us up to agenda modifications. Do we have any?
Yes.
We do have one?
On the last minutes.
From the last minutes? Okay. No?
Are you ready? On our minutes on page 3, we were talking about the corner trees over on 512 on the bike trail and having look into getting them cut back on Roseland Road and that. And it was Matt who was going to meet, not myself. So Matt Simpson's going to work on whoever he needs to talk to with the county to see about getting that cut back.
Yes. I want to say something too.
I brought it up, but it says Mrs. White says she'll meet with someone.
So it should have been Matt.
I'm sorry? The evergreens need to be cut back, right?
On page 3, yeah, but I'm not going to be doing that research on that. Matt was going to do that. So he's going to be contacting with the county. He's going to meet to find out what we can do. But it says Mrs. White says she's going to meet with someone. I'm not going to do that. Matt.
Oh.
Yes.
Matt's
But you
on.
did say that, ma'am, so I can't take it out of the minutes.
Well, we did put in there that Matt was going to do it then.
I didn't hear that part.
Yes.
So Mr. Sims was going to do it?
Mhm.
Yes.
And he's going to meet with whoever is the person to talk with about getting that cut back. I brought it up, but he's going to pursue it. Okay?
Mhm.
That's the only change I had.
Okay. The approval of minutes from the April 27th meeting. Any problems? Besides what we just talked about?
If there are no other changes needed, I vote that the minute. I make a motion that the minutes be accepted as approved or as written and corrected.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. You get that, Linda?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That brings us to unfinished business, the disc golf alternate site. Mr. McCarthy.
Yes, we are having trouble finding somewhere to put this, as you all probably know. We are not going to pursue the stormwater site. I got an email from Doug Voltalina, who's the land manager for St. John's. He said we could change our land management plan that we have with them, but it would have to go through all kind of boards, and they could still turn it down. And we have quite a bit of opposition from people living near or use the park. So I guess where we're at now, if you all want us to pursue maybe just putting a couple disc baskets at a certain park to try it out, or that's kind of where we're at now. So
Is Filbert Park just too open for something like this? Or not?
Filbert could be a possibility, yes.
But because I don't do disc golf, though, is it something that they like to have trees to go in and out? But we do have that wooded area
Yeah.
off of Filbert,
Filbert could be a possible site.
and we could use part of the open area and part
And then
of the...
maybe go into the trees a little bit too, yes.
How big is that park? Do you remember?
I believe it's about 3.5 acres altogether.
So that might be something we look
Mhm.
at. I don't know if any of the other parks have enough room or the layout on them, but that's one park that we've kind of been wanting to do something with because it's got a nice size to it. So if maybe that's something you might want to check into.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in agreement with Mr. McCarthy. I think what's going to happen here is it's getting to the point now where people don't want anything in their backyards. at all, anything close to them. And I think if we even go to Filbert, which I agree with, maybe we got enough room out there, that we're gonna have the homeowners around that area to do the same thing that they did at the last meeting, is come in and voice their opinions and not to go to Schuman Lake. So I think we're stuck between a rock and a hard place on this thing.
Well, the only thing is, it's same as when we had the dog park. I mean, that came up and up again, and in public maybe would need more information on what disc golf is. And I think we just have to keep pursuing it, because we had enough people here speaking for the interest in it, and you're gonna get negative feedback wherever you go, but if we look at the parks that we have that are able to do that, but we did have that with the dog park, that did happen, and it's been fine. So I'd like to pursue and not give up on it, because we do have a large group that's interested in it.
I agree on that. It's something that I think it would be well used. I don't want to give up on it yet.
And I agree with both Joannes as well too. But again, like everything else, and I guess the community has rights too, express its opinion. But we've already talked about it, and we have had citizen input with it, and we know it may be. I think it'd be a pretty good idea. So something that we did, like I said, we did have a few things with the Bark Park, but the Bark Park, once it was in place and everything fell into place, it was pretty good, and the community really loved that. And my one thing about Filbert Park is that there's tortoises out there. So if we do have anything out there with those, because I know it's about two, if not, I know it's at least 2 tortoise holes out there, and I don't know where it would interfere with the parking, if it would interfere with the parking, or if that would cause a hazard to those tortoises at all. So
I don't foresee that being a problem. You can work around that, you know. We have tortoise holes on the golf course. You know?
I don't golf, so that's good.
I'm sorry, with the disc golf, if it's in certain park areas like our zones, is that money then that can be used for that zone because it's something new? You know,
Yeah, this money actually has already been appropriated.
Okay. But-
Yes.
So it could be zone.
Money's not an issue. Finding a place to put it is the issue now. So we have the money budgeted for it. It's been budgeted for over more than a year now, so.
What other areas are you thinking, do you have any ideas on any other parks that,
We kind of talked about Hardy Park, but I don't think with
There's
the people
too much.
walking around there's too much going on. You know, that's really the only developed parks that, you know, that have some room. You know, the dog park has a little room, but not much. There's the pond there, so there's not really a whole lot of room. So,
and George Street's not big enough?
George Street's tiny, actually. It's way too small.
Well, I'd like us to keep pursuing and just carry on with it, because we do have an interest.
I'll go back to the city manager and say you all would like to pursue, you know, possibly something at Filbert Street, so.
I have an additional comment, is that as we continue to get input from the community about things to add to our parks, we're going to keep coming against the same problem, that we have X amount of parks that are already filled with things, and that as we continue to try to find things to do inside these parks, we're up against that there's not space. And it goes back to the continuing dialogue that we have about trying to find more space, i.e. the tennis wall and other things that we keep trying to find different places for the things. And as we continue to grow as a community, we're going to have to find other places outside of what we have. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going around. That's my opinion. We're kind of just keep either cramming things in there, which could take away from the certain uses that people are used to for a park, versus some of the other things that we could add in the future.
And I think we brought this up many times about the city being able to look ahead in the future and getting land. And I think that's something that has to come up in front of the council. And I don't know who does the go-ahead with that, if there's a person that's actually out there looking for properties that we can expand out in the future, but we really do need to do that, because we're finding right now that we are getting cramped in with space, and all we're going to do is keep growing. And so that property is going to be gone, and we won't have really any place to do that. So Chris, do we have somebody in the city that is looking, you're in Parks and Rec, are we looking out there for new properties or things to expand just to hold on to, or?
I think they're probably be more interested in development of properties have, but I can certainly bring that up to the city manager,
If
you know.
Yeah, if you could
Yeah.
bring that up, that, I don't know how anybody else on this group feels, but I think it's one of the, an important thing that we have to look at. I mean, Barber Street is maxed out. We just don't have those places anymore, and the city is being built up all around. So if you could bring it up to the city manager, and I don't know if you'd bring that up to council, but I think there really should be somebody that's spearheading, and one of their projects is to go out and look at what's available now and put that aside for us, because we don't have those places, and we're growing, which is good, but it's just, it makes it hard to be able to expand if we don't have the places to do that.
You're correct. I mean, when baseball season's going on, there's no practice
Right.
fields, you know. We really we could use another sports complex down the road, trust me.
And I know
We don't have all these middle schools and
No.
elementary schools around here because it's a town of retired people, you know.
And I know we brought it up for other places that we have, and neighbors don't like it here, there, and everywhere, but we're a city and we have to look at the overall population. And I think sometimes you get a vocal group, and yeah, it's their neighborhood, but we need to get other people in there also.
Yes.
It's what makes for an active city or active community, is having those things to offer. So if you maybe could talk to the city manager, and if there was somebody that can go out there and actually, that's one of their focuses, is looking at where we can expand or buy or, okay?
Well, I'll go along with the board's decision to keep looking into Filbert. And what about, Chris, the acreage off of Day Drive? I know there's, 38 acres over there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about 33.
Every time we bring it up, it just falls by the wayside.
Kind of a wetland area, though. I don't know what you could do with it.
But even if we had some area that could
Yeah,
be
some of
baseball
it.
or practice fields, where could they have access? Is it off of Barber Street itself they could get into that, or what's behind there?
I think you could get off to it off of, like, I believe it's Tracy Drive, I'm not,
Yes, yes,
and then maybe off of one of the,
yes.
I'm not sure, a street that comes in there from the north, where there's some warehouses back there
Oh, okay. yeah.
also.
And that
Yeah.
might be a better access, just because
Yeah.
it's not through the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And if it was out on that, but that, we have talked about that. That's something we do have, and maybe we can use it for something in
Yeah.
there.
Okay, any other questions on a disc golf from the committee? Okay, we'll go ahead and forward with that, Chris, and if need be, I can go to the council meeting Wednesday and update the council on this too, so I can do that. Okay, that brings us to public input. Anybody from the public would like to speak, please? Come on up to the mic. Give us your name.
Good evening, Ben Hocker, Sebastian. I started going through the internet and wondering what this Frisbee golf was all about. There was a couple people that came here and said that they have a league that they're in, et cetera, et cetera. So there's the Professional Disc Golf Association. It's international. It's basically, I'd say, structured as a little league, soccer, etc. And within our given area, there's Fort Pierce has golf, Frisbee golf. Heritage Park in Fort Pierce. Malabar has one. Palm Beach Gardens, Palm Bay, Lakahatchee, Royal Palm Beach, West Melbourne, West Palm, and Melbourne. Now, in going through this, to put a single golf, one round, I guess that's, 9 holes?
Could be, yeah.
All right, that's a minimum of 5 acres. And up to go to the second one. And what's occurring is that to go like, I'll use the word PGA, like the golf course. This is basically what this is set up as. And they've got requirements if you become part of the professional disc golf club, which I believe the other ones are, because these are leagues playing there. Just to set it up with some of their help is $20,000. The baskets for the professional are $200 a basket, plus we have to put the hole in, plus you need a concrete tee area. And I'm not going to give you one of those, not in my backyard, but this, I've never been to one of these. Some of our council members said they went up and looked at it, but I don't know if they were there when there was league play going on, which equals parking, which equals we don't have in our area any restrooms. It might be a little more than we want to bite off at this point. I had previously suggested somewhere near the airport. And in talking, one of you mentioned, let's just put a couple in and let's try it. Well, we've got a perfectly great piece of property here that only requires putting in a little cement pipe that's flush and issuing the basket when people want to come and play Frisbee golf. We can set up a couple holes somewhere and you just literally move the basket around, like a miniature golf. So as far as going into a local neighborhood park, which all the parks around have no industry, it's all strictly residential. I happen to live within that area, but I'm not hollering, not in my backyard. What I'm looking at is that there's about 8 kids that get off the school bus in that area from Joy Haven around in Barber Street. If you see what's going on in that park, it's mainly mothers with their children. Again, I'm not doing it, not in my backyard, but when you get this developed and it starts to build, and then you're dealing with 50, 60, 100, 200 cars, I don't know how big this thing is, and then restroom facilities.
You got about 1 minute, Ben.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to say is that someone said, put a couple baskets out in the back here. Let's see how many kids come here and play it. How many adults play it? I mean, we got a bocce court. I played on it once out there. I've never seen anybody at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience want to speak? Come on up.
Good evening, Jim Sunnycab, Sebastian. I'd like to go to Riverview Park. We have some, they're called Egyptian geese. We have 7 of them that's come to visit the park. They usually come every year and stay a while. And to see these Egyptian geese, my son and I have you go to Easy Street Park on Facebook, and there's, it's about the Easy Street Park, the trails and the ducks and whatnot. The new fence that Chris put up, it's on there if you want to look at that. Or if anybody catches a fish, take a picture and we'll put that on the site for them, or pictures of ducks, whatever. It's just an informative site for Easy Street Park that we've done. And now I'd like to go to the dog park. Most dog parks have a fire hydrant. Vero Beach put a used fire hydrant in and painted it. I was wondering if we could get a used fire hydrant and put in our dog park. Maybe get the art club to paint it for. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to paint a fire hydrant for us if we got one. It just kind of brings the dog park together. One of those little things. It's not a big thing, but those little things sometimes makes a difference. Now I'd like to go to Riverview Park. The restroom down at Riverview, above the drinking fountain between the bathrooms is an open area, I think would be a good place for a marquee. I know we have one across the street, but nobody really sees the one across the street. I mean, no goes to, I don't pay attention to that one. But we have one inside the park where we could advertise our, like the Chamber of Commerce, the things they have monthly and different things. And I was talking to the Mayor Gilmore about it, and he liked the idea. And he also said there might be one over at the airport they're not using. So, I think if we could, it's a way to inform people what's going on, because if people don't know what's going on, they don't know and they're not there.
Are you talking like where the stage is, like north of where the stage would be, in that open area there?
It's on the building, right above the water fountain.
Okay.
There's a space right between the men's and the women's restroom, and
Okay.
right above the water fountain is an open area. And like I said, Richard said he thought there was one not in use at the airport, so that wouldn't cost anything if there's one sitting there not being used. I just think it'd be a good idea to inform people what's going on in the park. And that's about it for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Seeing we have nobody else, we'll go to new business, which is the capital projects budget. Mr. Kilgore.
Yeah, I'll start with this one, and then Ken can come up for any questions that you might have. He handed out the most recent capital improvement one, but I'll start with what I gave you. Some of the smaller stuff that's in the budget, which is, exercise stations at Hardy Park and tennis windscreens for Schumann Drive. These are all in the proposed budget. 2 enclosed trailers, an open trailer, and a pickup truck. In the big ticket items, that the one that Ken handed you are a bike path on Brushfoot Drive from the golf course down to East Airport Drive to hook up with the sidewalk that's going along there. Community center parking, paving and drainage and lighting, and an equipment building at the Barber Street Sports Complex to replace the little old shed we have out there. One thing that we did ask for but got denied was the bleacher shields at the sports complex. But if you have any questions on any of them, and the baseball field lighting got pushed out to 2016, 2017. I'll answer any questions you have. If I don't have the answer, I'll ask Ken to come up and...
I got a couple questions. First one is the Brushwood Drive bike path. Why is that our responsibility as far as funding?
Well, it's city property.
Why isn't the airport, they have their own funds for that?
Well, I don't think they do. 'Cause
Where is it going from the
it would
Main
go
Street?
from up past the golf course, hook into the Collier Club bike path, come down, and then come all the way down to Main Street.
So from Collier Club Gate, the back
Yeah.
gate there,
Mhm.
down in front of the golf course
Down in
to
front of the
Main
golf
Street?
course, yeah.
Okay,
To East Airport, but then there's already one
right.
with the construction going on now, there'll be one there, so.
And the other one I have is the community center paving. Can you say lighting too?
Yes. Draining.
I thought that would come out of general funds.
No, the community center's coming out of recreation impact fee money.
But the paving part of it, so impact fees are supposed to be for like new projects, not maintenance, right? Okay, so is that a maintenance issue?
No, because you're replacing it with something new, so. and improving the overall
Okay.
appearance of the whole area. So,
Oh, well, can I butt in?
Good.
I still am not happy about the bleacher shields.
Yes.
I
Me
think
too.
that's more important, and I hate to say to the tennis people or some of these others, because we talked about at the last meeting that we've had this hanging here for a while, and we felt it was something that needed to be addressed. And I'm not sure why it's being pushed, or is it even on the future, or is it being dropped completely?
If I could interject, I'm Ken Kilgore, the Administrative Services Director and the CFO. I discussed with Joe today the bleacher shield item. He couldn't be here tonight. He was feeling ill. But he's got it in mind that some of the kind of projects that could be put on the table are additional bike paths and weighing the bleacher shields to the bike paths. He's concluded that his recommendation, is to not pull the trigger on the bleacher shields. So this is his recommendation at this point in time. We haven't even issued this document yet, as far as the entire budget picture. So it's going to be going through the process of the budget committee and the city council. I do have a minor correction that Chris wasn't aware of when he mentioned the baseball field lighting. That is funded out of the DST funds, and we were able to move that up to next year if that's doable.
Well, I'm just going to throw in my 2 cents. I still would like the bleacher shields to be addressed. I don't know how anyone else feels.
I
on
agree
that.
with you on the bleacher shields, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And me too, because it's something that's been there for a while, and we normally have one of the absent members, and she's been trying her best to try to bring that forward, and I think she's going before the city council with that as well too. So to be able to see that it's still there, I feel her pains as far as I think that's something that's well needed as well. Not to say that the other issue is not.
Is it cost prohibitive, or is it just a matter of, of saying like there's not enough to do that in addition to things that are being proposed, that has to be pushed to the side? Because in relation to the things that are being proposed, it's nominal, given the length of time that it's been on there. And then the other aspect of deciding things as a Park and Rec committee and forwarding it, and then having things pushed to, I know it's a non-binding committee, but there seems to be a little bit of disconnect between deciding something and trying to move forward on it, and then having it tabled and put aside.
Once again, this is the city manager's recommendation at this time. The idea of additional bike paths is just been put on the table. He doesn't have any particular plans. He didn't know the scope or how many we might look at. And he's just weighing that those, funding other things like the $100,000 bleacher shields, it just seems pricey to him, and a use of monies just for that purpose, that maybe we want a more general purpose with a bike pass. That's about the best I can explain it. Your recommendations are considered. They are continued forward in the process. It is the city manager's recommended budget, and he felt like he couldn't support that in the budget with other things being yet to be developed. So,
In that fee, was that just one vendor's fee that price of $100,000 was derived from, or was that other avenues that could have been approached to get the same job accomplished, or that was just? I'm trying to see how that. I know we talked about that figure some time ago because it's been a while. I've been trying to see, could that figure have been a little bit lower where it could have been doable for the actual shields that's needed out there, or this fee that we're looking at, this large fee, was this fee?
We went off with the prices we paid for the sunscreens we put up at the splash pad, and also the creative playground. You have quite a bigger area at the sports complex.
Okay.
That number got that big to cover every one of the bleacher pads there, so.
I was just looking at, just thought if it would have been possibly a fee that could have been a little bit lower, if that fee would have been lower, would have been something that's still safe, still cost effective, and still going to be able to have the same results. Whereas we know it's a larger area.
Are you talking about a smaller size, or?
I'm just looking at like the fee in general. So I know so I'm pretty sure the ones that did the splash pad and Crater Park, you're gonna look at that entity for doing the baseball. Would it be put out for bid again and then brought forth when that time came?
We can bring up your concerns to the city manager, maybe cut that $100,000 figure down and see what he says, you know.
If you could do that, I think that, because I think we're all in agreement, it was something we really wanted to have taken care of, and we kind of feel like it's gotten pushed back, and now it's not even on the coming budgets, is it? Has it been dropped completely?
At this point in time, the draft recommendation by the city manager, it has been dropped.
Okay, so I would be in favor if you could bring it up again. I'd like to see it addressed and taken care of.
Or to see if there's an alternative to the, I mean, if you're comparing it to what we have versus having discussion about what we want and finding another way to do it that's not necessarily to the level of what we have over the splash pad and the park. I mean, on the end of the spectrums, you have something that's as simple as a shade sail and, you know, making something that could cover the area and accomplish what we want, but it's not necessarily to match what we already have in existence. So to say that it has to be this and this to this extent, and then we don't get anything in the community versus the intent is to shade and protect the people sitting there, that could be accomplished in other ways that I don't think carries us out to the price tag that we have. I mean, if I was dropping my son off at Jungle Club this afternoon, over their pool enclosure is a large industrial sized shade sail that is, you know, in between some large what do you call it, like the telephone poles. Now, not to say that we want something that doesn't look attractive, but there are alternatives to then just having that something that is some of the more expensive and the nicer look that we have for the splash pad, and I think that looks great. But
Yes.
we don't necessarily have to implement that given the large space that we're trying to cover and accomplish there. And to that end, I'd also, like to see the skate park not pushed aside in the discussion of shade as well, because that is something that also needs shade. And if we're going to leave it to the point of it can only be this industrial strength monstrosity, it'll never get accomplished. And in the meantime, the welfare of our children using our parks, they're suffering.
Yes.
That's my comment.
Just-
On the paving for the community center, can't we push that back and then take that money and use that for the shields?
That's not what the city manager
Yeah,
recommended.
I
so.
know.
We can pass like I said before, we can pass your concerns along to them, so.
Because we've done things at the community center, but the shields or whatever we pick for shade there, it's something that's maybe needs to be addressed, and then we'll work back on the community center, because we have done some things on that in the last year or two.
Seems like we've had this bleacher shields on our agenda for like 2 years already, yeah.
And you're right, too, because these shields are going to come up for other functions. I hadn't even thought about the skateboard park. I mean, we have kids out there, and they're going to use it more in the summer when they're off school, so they're going to be out there a lot. So if maybe someone can check into that and see if there's other options that we can have with getting the costs down, but it is going to come up again, because we're going to have other things going on. So see what you can do, and if you can get back to us, that would be great.
One more question. On this Brushwood Drive bike path, is that going to start, like she said, all the way at Collier Club and come down the golf course side?
It'll start on the other side to hook up with theirs, and then it'll cross over like right behind number 10T. And then we'll have to put a culvert and there, a crossing, and then it'll go down along the golf course side, I believe. So. There's no room for it to keep it on that side all the way down because you have a guardrail in the ditch right there. So.
Okay, I think it's the agenda, or the consensus of, maybe I can bring it up, if I go to the meeting Wednesday night, bring it up again about the bleacher shields to council, yeah. But I think
You're
we're-
going to have plenty of budget hearings too, correct? I mean, this is very preliminary, so you'll have a chance to voice your
All right,
opinion.
I'll do it that way.
I'm going to throw a question out. On the exercise stations at Hardy, we've got 15,000 for 2015, 16, 2016, 17. I'm trying to remember, were we looking at completely replacing with new equipment, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so part of it'll get done and then next year we'll try to
That's
get
what we're
the-
looking at now, and we're also looking at maybe some different exercise equipment too, to
Okay.
get the price down. Budgets are very tight this year, it's, so, especially if you're taking it out of the general fund.
And the other question I had is Riverview Park Playground. I know that we need to take care of that and put something else in there. Do we have a model playground plan of the equipment that's going in there? I know we've picked other ones. Are we going to just use one from another park that was pretty good for that, or?
Yeah, well, in some of our past playground projects, I brought you some, a couple drawings or types of playground. I would like to actually maybe go to a all recycled plastic playground down there to combat the elements. I think would work out well. So. That playground's already been replaced
And
2.5 times, part of it.
And then and does this include the price for the surfacing?
Yes.
And are we using the rubber, or are we using something different?
Yeah, well, it won't be the sand like it. It'll either be the rubber mulch or if you go poured in place, that price might go up quite a bit, but probably the rubber mulch.
That's a big area.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Chris, on the football field restrooms, is that complete gutting inside and out or what?
Yeah, well, and it's putting in all new fixtures and I think replacing the interior wall also. Yep.
All right. Any other questions from the committee?
No.
Okay, that should end the new business with the capital projects budget. Staff matters.
Skate parks, we opened the skate park Saturday. The new skate park's
good.
back open and kids seem to like it. I'm getting a few comments. It's only been open a few days, but, and we have our big 4th of July ceremony coming up, which basically 5K run at 7 o'clock, the parade's at 8:30. Opening ceremonies at the Veterans Memorial is 8, parades at 8:30. Live music and activities in the park all day, and fireworks at 9 p.m. I did forget to bring up after disc golf, I did speak with Beth Powell, the environmental land manager for Indian River County, to discuss this property back here, but no.
No.
They did very passive recreation, so.
Anything else?
Nope.
Linda, you have anything? No. All right. I got a couple things. I drove the parks. The parks are looking pretty decent with exception of the grass because it's growing after we had that last rain, but they're taking pretty good care of cutting the grass and weed eating around everything, so I give my kudos to the guys from Parks. Skate park, I drove by there. I didn't know it was open Saturday. I thought it was going to be open today, but that's good. Chris, on the Engler Conservation Area on Engler, there's always about 3 or 4 vehicles inside the gate. They belong in there, or they work in there, or what?
Yeah, I believe that's our mowing contractors.
Okay,
They
all right.
store mowers in there, and it might be the ditch contractors too, cleaning out the ditches, yep.
Okay, because I drive by there quite a bit, and I see those vehicles in there. Okay. I got a couple tree calls maybe from individuals and also flag downs when I'm driving around about the Riverview Park, I think this was brought up once before, many years ago, about when the craft show and art clubs are in the park, they're supposed to drop off and then move their vehicles. And now it seems like they're just dropping off and leaving their vehicles inside the park. Now, I know that's gonna cause a problem on the 4th of July because that park is very small as far as once we get all the vendors in there. Are they gonna have to move their cars out of there for this or what?
Oh, yeah, 4th of July, no. In regards to the art club and craft club, we're kind of lenient on that. Some of those people are very elderly, you know, it's easier on them. But yeah, 4th of July, other than the food vendors, there's no vehicles in the park. It's all
Okay.
tents. So.
Yeah, their big concern was the, if they had to get emergency personnel in there for something, yeah. All right, like I said, I'll go to council meeting Wednesday and bring some of this up. Okay, what else I got here? You said the 4th of July, I got that down here. Okay, Christmas in July. July 18th from 4 to 8 at Riverview Park. I don't know if you know what that is. It's for they're raising money for the youngsters in our area who are below income level. We take them to usually Walmart in December, and then we give them so much money they can shop with for their parents and siblings. So, and also, I don't know if anybody's seen the sidewalk west of 95 has been started. They already started one area of it. It's from 95 going west into Fellsmere. So evidently, they're going to make this thing all the way through.
Okay.
The concrete sidewalk. Yeah. And I think they're down to where the playground is on the right-hand side, yeah. So, and right now, that's all I have. Tammy?
No concerns, really pleased with everything at Hardy Park, I'm good.
Joanne?
Did we ever was there a sign or something put up over by Bark Park where you're concerned about some truck driving?
No, that wasn't put up yet, no.
Okay, is it still happening, do you know?
I hope so.
Oh, no, I mean the truck.
The no authorized vehicle beyond this point sign.
Is the truck still doing it?
Is he
Oh, yeah.
still-
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
Yep, yep, yep.
And then the thing about the disc golf, is he still here? Oh, there you are. I think to make the disc golf happen, to get people's coming to play, you have to have more than two. I think if you just put two out there, you probably aren't going to get the interest because it's more of like a team activity like golfing. You know, you have people that go and they move from one to the other, and I think that they need to have more than just two. And I understand what you're saying is it going to be used for the amount of money we're putting in? The airport, was that something, Chris, I know that we had talked about it. Did the airport location, was that just something we couldn't do, or they said no way?
Yeah, they weren't, and I talked to the city manager about that, and he said no, he didn't want to use any airport property for that.
Okay. So I would think that if we're going to pursue with the disc golf, that we need to at least have 9 and use that as a starting, and then if it seems to be something that people are really into doing, then we can always expand after that. But I think you do need at least 9 to get them going to play rounds. So that's my just thought on that. And that's all I had.
Okay, Matt?
Yes, and I agree again with Joanne. Like again, that's been there for a while, and we've had pretty good interest. So to get someone in there to have the minimum of 9 to start out with, because we saw from the turnout from, if not the last meeting, the meeting before, it was a pretty good interest being drawn, especially since the individuals are going from our city to other counties, possible cities to play also. So I think that's pretty good. And also about that land acquisition thing, to try to find something, because we know the city is not getting smaller, it's getting bigger. So if we can find additional lands around the area within the city for expansion, because we know that activities, whether it's activities are well needed, and to have a location for that is pretty good. And again, thanks to staff for listening to us, and citizen input, also the public input. We really do appreciate your effort for coming forward as well. And also, Shulman Park looks pretty good. I was driving through there several times, and don't seem to be I haven't seen no vandalism or anything out there at all, and it's been well used, and all the additions that have taken place is most definitely appreciative in the city of the new skate entity being taken care of and finished and open. The kids are really going to enjoy that, because I saw it seems like now it looks like it's more room. Like it looks like more room open and everything, and that the concrete, the structures make it look real nice. So I can imagine the kids going to have a great time utilizing that. And thanks again for everything.
Yeah, we kind of made it more like a street course. It was kind of condensed before, and when we sent out the questionnaires, the kids were asking for a little more room, to run out a little more. And you can definitely do that now, especially on the north side, so.
Greg?
Yeah, on my part, for the next meeting, I'll do some more research in and around the disc golf, but my initial comments, because it's come up a couple different times and people having a reaction to it, seems to be to the extremes of, what we're intending to do with the disc golf. I think the way that it was originally proposed and the way that we're kind of approaching it from a Parks and Rec department is that it's from a recreational use aspect, as opposed to designing something that is on the end of a league specific. You could have a league here. So for example, if we approach it from the standpoint of we want people to use it and have fun, and there's standards that we set based on the space and the availability that we have, that may or may not match up to, for example, I'm sure if you go to Frisbee Golf Association, if you were to hold a tournament, I'm sure similar to a PGA tournament, there would be minimum standards. That doesn't mean we have to build our park to those standards. But on my part, I will look into that more so that we're more knowledgeable about what we're talking about, so that if we're saying, here's a disc golf course and people can use it and practice and get better, but then to have a league, if a league comes in and says, well, the park that exists in Sebastian is too small for us to hold a league, that's not the standard that we're setting our park by. So I'd just like to put that comment out, because in part of the discussion, the community's reaction is that it will be this, that there will be parking problems, and this. We're already going to the extreme that this will be a league-generated disc golf course, yet we haven't had that discussion and saying this is how we're going to set it up. So maybe we on our own part should know and see what the standards are of what constitutes a golf course needing to have the minimum requirements to have a league. If we already are under that, that's a non-issue, and we should be able to verbalize that. So that's my comment.
Okay. For the items for the next agenda and date, could we bring up this, we haven't talked about it much, Chris, is this tennis wall that we had discussed before?
The,
Next agenda?
well, that, we put the tennis backboards up in Schumann and back here in place of the tennis walls. Because once again, we had trouble finding property to put the tennis wall on.
So the tennis walls are up at Schumann, just the walls itself, they're not they're what, plywood? Or what?
They're plastic.
Plastic?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a composite plastic.
All right,
They're up, and there's one up back here too.
okay, friendship, okay.
Yeah.
And then what's in front of them? What kind of surfacing?
The tennis court.
It is regular tennis.
It's on the tennis courts.
Oh, it's
They're
on
on
it
the tennis
itself.
courts. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's either you're playing tennis or you're taking up the space and you're using the wall, which is one of the things that we were trying to
Get away from it.
get away
Yeah.
from. But that's what we have.
Okay, we need a date for the next meeting, Linda?
7/27?
7/27. Okay. Well, I thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's been a while since we had a meeting. And hopefully we can get our meeting in next month. And right now, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.
Do you need